must be revived regularly, of course, as we are moving in knowledge economy. What we have to see is that new products have to be introduced. And in that case, when we talk about new products, there is an issue so that we have to maintain a larger input. Is my presentation, can you hear my presentation?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Right. So moving on, looking at these choices that were available to us, we have to develop a strategy in which the universities are able to get the maximum benefits. And in order to develop that, we have to, number one, go for the value for the money. And secondly, we have to evolve the role of the academic institution, the main point about which we were talking about the presentation. Now, before moving on to that, I would just ground it in the philosophical foundations, the domain of knowledge based on which we are going to move further. The one would be the knowledge management as a domain that we are going to take our recommendations from. And the second part is the intellectual capital management. These two domains will help us to define new strategies for organizations and especially for institutions, educational institutions. According to knowledge management, I'll just give a summary, is that in any organization which is knowledge intensive, people form the 70% of the value addition that is coming from the people that we have. The processes provide the 20% of the value addition, and technology gives only 10%. Now that is extremely important to understand, that it is the people that matter the most. And unfortunately, the institutions are focusing too much on technology and not that much on the people, the human beings. And then comes the processes. This is from the knowledge management. And now when we combine that philosophy of knowledge management with intellectual capital management, we see that value addition in any system is basically contributed by three things. Number one is the employees, as we have seen in the previous diagram also in the KM. Then comes the structure of that institutions, of how the rules and regulations, the copyrights, the trademarks, how they are arranged, and finally the relationship. The relational capital is basically the brand and the connectivity of the institution with rest of the country. So for the value addition, as a strategist, we have to see that our human capital, our structure capital, and our relational capital all are equally balanced, and then that will provide us the maximum value of our return. Keeping these things in mind, we move to the model of triple helix model for the knowledge economy. The model is not new, especially for the developed countries. They have been working on this model from even 1990. The model was basically presented by MIT experts, and Stanford added to it. Now, according to this model, the triple helix model, the government, the industry, and the universities or the research academia, they have to move together. Only then we can have a win-win situation for all three of them. The university will have to change its role from traditional teaching to a more applied side, focusing more on research and development, and not only research and development in isolation, but linking that research and development with industry. That would be on the applied side. And as we have seen in the previous slides also, the maximum contributor to research and development, research work will have to come from the government, because government also need that research to improve its processes. For example, if there is a new, let's say, dam to be constructed, or a new road to be made, or a new social development project that has to be undertaken. Presently, what the governments in the developing countries are doing is they are hiring experts from the developed country to do their social research feasibility reports. Whereas, according to this model, the government should engage one or two, three local universities to conduct that research and provide government with the feedback, because these institutions would be from that country, would be situated in that country. Therefore, these institutions would be in a better position to give a better uh, research results to the government, and that would be more connected with the local community. Similarly, the industry, uh, do keep in mind that we are talking about not about the developed countries, because they are to quite an extent following the present model. We are talking about the developing countries. In the developing countries, even the industry is lacking behind. And the industry must do local research, must work on products that are developed by that indigenous industry. And in order to do research for that, the industry must engage the local university, because that would be cost effective for one thing. And secondly, the industry would be working on local resources for developing a product. So therefore, if we move towards the triple helix model, it would be giving advantage not only to the institutions, research institutions, but it would be giving advantage to the local industry. And at the same time, the government, because the university is local, the industry is local, and the profits that would be coming out would be more profitable to the government, and the overall structure of the system would be developing. Now, keeping this model of triple helix in mind, we would just visit and see that university industry collaboration levels, what are available to us, and what way forward we can move. Looking at that, we see that traditionally the universities were focusing more on teaching universities. But again, the economic pressures, the internationalization of products, of quality, of price, that will enforce the universities to change their role. And from that, we came to the era when we were talking about research universities. And we have a number of universities in this country also, which are labeled research universities, and they are focusing more on research. But as we move on, we have to understand that the universities would have to move forward from research to entrepreneurial universities. Entrepreneurial universities would be focusing more on applied research, and would be talking about the spin-off of companies, making new products, and ensuring how that product can be launched into the market. Now, I would just like